Hello everyone, hope you're all doing well. Today we are going to use this template called multi-NIC virtual machine creation using two subnets. This template is available under Azure Quick Start templates on the GitHub, and I'm going to give you this particular link in the video. So if you're preparing for any exam or you're just learning deployment, ARM is a very powerful feature. Although you will probably learn about blueprints these days, but still in a blueprint you can use all of the ARM templates. Okay, so most ARM templates you have at least two files or maybe one file, but most people will have two, and a third file is also pretty common. So the first one is the deploy file, or which called as a template file, and then to the template file you can have all the parameters included in this file, but it's also always a good practice to separate the template out from that file. So usually you will see another file that will have a .parameters.json, that usually the typical nomenclature, and you will always also you may find another file which is a metadata file. So let's take a look at the deployment file and see if we can read a little bit about it. Alright, so the deploy auto deploy or Azure deploy.json file, a couple things you will always notice: the schema and the content version, they are required, you always add them. And now here saying parameters. What parameters? The virtual machine size is, this is the type of the parameter, so it's a string. If nothing is specified, go ahead and use ds1v2, which is the size of a default value or type of the virtual machine. Description is got one virtual machine size has to be at least the size of standard A3 to support two network interface cards. Azure username, okay, default username is the description, admin password, default admin password. Storage account by default is going to create a LRS, which is a locally redundant storage, and storage account type for the VM and VM diagnostic storage. Okay, and what are the two types that are allowed for this particular template? Allowed values are LRS, standard LRS, and premium LRS. So if you want to use a GRS or GA-GRS, you can do that, or you have to change the template. Location, default value. So this is something you look at resource group dot location. It's probably you're going to provide this information through that parameter file, and we'll take a look into that too. Now here we have some variables defined: virtual machine name, NIC1, NIC2, network name, subnets, and all of that stuff. Resources. So what are the resources that are going to be deployed? So it's going to be a virtual machine, and its type is a Microsoft Compute.virtual machine, so it's probably going to be one of the Windows machine, right? Properties, here is some other properties: computer name, your admin username, admin password, configuration, and we have some hardware profile. So all of these, anytime you see that the parameter admin username, so that means this is going to be coming from the parameters file. See, it's that simple. VM size parameter, virtual machine size. So I bet there is gonna be a virtual machine size key value, something like that, in the parameter where you're gonna get that information. Okay. So storage profile, it's saying it's gonna be a Windows Server. SKU is 2016 data center with the latest version. I'm not going to read everything, but this is the way that you should be reading these template, and you should be pretty comfortable reading this template file and understand what's going on. Okay, so let's go back one level. Let's review the parameters real quick. So from the parameters, okay, they're sending two different things. This is the admin username, this is gen unique, and admin password. So gen password, look at that. Alright, so let's go back to the template. So let's go over here, and you can again click on the visualize to see what it's going to deploy, and this gives you a nice little chart. So it's going to deploy a network security group. It's got some variables. Here is going to be a network interface card 2, and there's a network interface card 1. There's gonna be a storage. There's gonna be a virtual network, and within that I also have a subnet 2 with another network security group. So let's get rid of this, and we should have virtual machine way over here. Alright, so that's definitely you're gonna have that one. So close that one. To deploy this, it's very easy. You just click on this deploy to Azure button, and since I'm logged in, it should give me some kind of options or a form that you can fill out for your deployment. So I got it. Let's create there's certain things that if you have no information you can create, like resource group. So say test deploy. Okay, so that's the resource group that we're going to create. Standard admin username, nothing is coming up, so let's put something in there. Yes, I'm not going to tell you the password, by the way. Standard account type, as I said, they said there are only 2 types allowed, and you can see standard or premium. Do you want to go premium? Alright, let's go premium. Location is going to get it from the template file, so just say I agree. And now if you click purchase, it's going to validate and it will start the deployment as soon as the validation is successful. Now note that it will not stop when the validation is successful and ask you, hey, I'm all good, do you want me to proceed? There's not going to be anything like that. If the validation is successful, it will go ahead with the deployment. If it fails, then you will see some kind of red mark. Okay, so let's try that. Let's click on purchase and see what happens. You probably didn't even notice, but there was, for a splash of a second, there was a validation successful green message that came up over here right on the left corner. And now you can see the deployment has started, and in this nice little bell icon is for the notification, and you can monitor what's going on in here. And as I said in many videos, you can also go to the resource group and look for the resource group that you're using. That resource group is not even created, so let's do a refresh on it and see if it's been created. It's not, so just give it a little bit of time and just come back and see what's going on with the deployment. So at this time, oh, it says deployment failed. It says let's read that. Additional details from the underlying API might be helpful. At least one resource deployment failed. Please list deployment operation details. Okay, this is actually a good thing. So if the deployment fails, what are you gonna do? So let's look at the activity log. That one should give us a little bit more information. Let's see if it's delay, if it's giving me that or not. Alright, from here I do not see any red mark yet. So if I don't have a red mark, then I don't know what was the problem. So what I'll do, a possibility is the test resource group. So I was using the same resource group name for a previous lab. I deleted it. Possibly it was not completely deleted. So let's try it out one more time. Let's go back to here, and this time I'm going to use a different resource group name. And since the error was not completely clear, let me take a look at what we have. Well, we do have a test deploy. Okay, let's try out a test. No, actually, let's do create new test deploy 2 and hit OK. And again, I'll do username and password. And I'm going to keep the standard for this time and agree and purchase. And while it's going on, since I know that I have a resource group created, I'm just going to go to the resource group and see what is going on inside this one. So this one should show that something has failed, right? This one has failed. So if you look at it, interesting, it looks like I have everything that I wanted to deploy. It looks like I have a virtual machine. I have 2 network cards. So what? I don't see any problem with the deployment. So let's read it. What happens? So look at error details one more time. It says storage account is a premium type. Boot diagnostics supports standard GRS, standard NRS, standard RAGRS storage account type. So no. So even though our deployment, it allowed two different type of storage account, but the storage account that is being created as part of deployment does not support premium storage. So I should have chosen just a standard, and this time that's what I did. So notice that it has not reported any problem yet. So at this time I can also show you how to delete a resource group. Isn't that great? So this is the group that we do not care about, because it was not able to deploy my storage account. So let's go in there and just copy this name, okay? And what you can do, you can click on delete resource group, and that's gonna ask us type the resource group name. You just copied it, paste it there, and I say, yeah, please delete this, I do not need it. So the deletion of this resource group has already started as well. So now you can see excuse me, there are two different things going on. First thing is the deployment of the resources within the test depth, and the deletion of the first resource group that we have created. So let's just give it a minute and come back, and we will review our deployment, and we can end the video at that time. Let's pause. Alright my friends, we are back, and what's happening now? Our deployment with using our ARM template that was freely available on the GitHub is successful, and the other deletion of the resource group is still going on. So we don't care about this one. So let's go to this resource group where we have all the resources that should have been created using that template. So let's look at what we have. So we have a VM, and notice it's a multi-NIC VM, and that's why you have a NIC 1 and NIC 2. You have a storage account, and this time if you click on it, you will know that this storage account is of standard type. It's not a premium type because that was not supported, and also the replication is LRS type. Okay, so we have our storage. So let's go back. We have a public IP. We have NSG. Things looks like everything is, happy and dandy. So let's click on the virtual machine. Excuse me. And let's look at the public IP address. So for this machine, I was trying to figure out if it will give me two different IP addresses for this NICs. I do not see it immediately. So one thing I'm gonna copy is this IP address, and make sure that machine is accessible. Okay, so let's go there. So let's try to do a SSH. Basu is my username. Let's go to that IP, and it's not letting me go in. So that means my NSG is not allowing port 22. Oh, actually this is a Windows server. So for Windows server we need RDP connection. So let's find out something. I'm using Linux, so I gotta have something else. So let's try using this client. It's an okay client, not the greatest in the world, but it can do your job. So it's trying to connect to Windows. Yeah, so a Basu. So I got domain. You don't need to do save password. No, I don't care about this one. So just say okay, and it should give me my window. There we go. So we know that my deployment is successful. We're logging in just fine, and things looking great. 2016 data center. All right. So what is it that I wanted to check? I wanted to go back to the resource group, and I want to look at the NIC. What's going on with this NIC? Okay, so this NIC, you see that it does not have a public IP address. Okay, let's go to the other NIC. So NIC 1, let's go to the NIC, and look at that. This one do have a public IP address. So let's go back to this NIC and go to the IP configuration. Okay, and IP configuration, IP forwarding is disabled, virtual network IP configuration, that all looks good. What does the I add to? There we go. Do you see? Public IP address. Alright, if I click on associate, now it's telling me, hey, do you need another IP? I say, yeah, why not? I got two virtual network interface card, so why not just give this guy two different IP? Look, this is the IP that's already been created previously, so I'm just going to create a new one, basic, and let's create a static IP. Okay, public, basic, static. Say okay. And NIC2 is fine. Let's say the name is NIC2 IP. I cannot have a dash maybe. Yeah, there we go. So we got it. So click OK on it. So while this said created a new public IP address. Okay. So while this is going on, I'm just gonna say OK and yes, yes. I'll just say yes to everything within this virtual machine, and come back over here. Now look at that. Now we have a new IP address, 1368.185.191. So you can copy that one. How do I copy? I copy like this. There we go. Before I copied anything, it's gone. So let's go back. Excuse me. Copy. I think I did copied it. So I'll just create a new file. Let's put it in here. This is all we want. Alright, so we already have a connection connected to this server. So usually what happens if you try to connect, this other connection is probably going to get disconnected. Just to prove that, let's create a new window and let's give it a new IP. Hit OK, and it's trying to connect. Alright, so we also have to make sure that that network interface card, you have port, the right port, 3389. It says that connection has failed. So that's telling me that in this particular network too, I do not have the right NSG configured. So network security group, there's nothing configured for the network security group for this one at all. That's interesting. So let's go to this. Let's go to look NIC 1. Let's look at network security group. You have, look, you have an NSG. So all I need to do, I can just get the other network interface and associate that interface with this one. So associate this one as well with this network security group. So what's going to happen, whatever rule we have already defined for the first network security group is going to be applied to this one. Now this says, yeah, see, both of them are now part of the same network security group. Alright, so now if I go back, close this, and I try to do the connection again, let's see what happens. Okay, let's do new window. And sometimes when you change network stuff, sometimes it could take a little bit of time. I have seen 2 minutes, 5 minutes, but once it's done, it's done. Now you can use this machine. So this one is still taking a little bit of time. So it's probably not yet done. Usually when it's done, almost immediately you ask, excuse me, well, while that network security group is being effective, getting activated, let's do one other fun thing. So install a web, install IIS PowerShell. Okay, so what we're gonna do, this is probably only one line. It's just a Windows feature that you wanna install. So, and there we go. So that's all you need. Install Windows feature, name web server, include management tool. So we already have a connection open to that virtual machine. So let's go in there. Let's try to find the PowerShell. Is it here? Accessories maybe. No, it's not here. So we'll just find it from here. PowerShell. Okay. Come on, Windows. You don't have PowerShell? Here we go. Alright, so we got it. And I hope we can paste command in here because I don't want to type that whole yeah, it's there. So let's hit enter and it should start the installation of a web server. So we're going to validate this. Both IPs works in two ways. You can use it to go to that site using both IPs and see if you have the same server available to you or not. So it's almost 48% done. So I'm going to give it a little bit more time to get this one done. So 70%, 72, 4. I'm going to pause. No, it's 85. I don't even need to pause. It's going very, very fast. So 89%. Come on, maybe I'll just pause. Alright, the site is now installed, not site, the Windows server is now installed. So 1368.186.117. Well, you can go to that one, or you can we have this. So let's go to this one real quick and see if this is reachable. Okay, I don't think this one is going anywhere even now. So let's go back and use the other IP address that we're using, 1368.186.117. So 1368.186.117. Now if I go there, it still does not giving me anything. Because of what? Because I have not enabled port 80 or port 443 at this time. Okay, so always remember, when you do something with this Azure environment, there are multiple things that needs to happen before you can use some of the stuff. And your networking, you have to understand how the network security group works. Okay, at this time, let's go back to here and let's retry our connection to go to the 191 site IP. Okay, let's see if anything is going on. Looks like even now nothing is going on. So let's pause the video and let's see, do some debugging and restart. Okay, so I found the problem over here. So if you come to the networking and go under the VM, within the VM still only got a public IP of 1368.186.117, which we're using, that is connected. Okay, and I don't have any port 80 connection, inbound connection. So let's do that first maybe. So let's look at our, let's go back in here. So let's go back to NSG real quick. And in NSG, I'm going to add a network security group or inbound rule for port 80. Okay, so inbound rule, I want to add an inbound rule. Let's add port 80. So let's solve some problem if we can't solve all. Source port any destination, I want to go to port 80. And port 443. So let's start with port 80. Okay, action allow. So port 80. So let's add that one. And I'm also gonna create another rule. 80 any port 443. TCP allow priority port 443. Okay, so I got 2 and it looks good. I'm gonna say add. So what's gonna happen if I go here now in a little bit, once the rule is being properly applied, a web server, I would like to see it showing up. So let's so we have done that. I'm going to come back to this one in a minute. So let's go back where we were over here. Okay, so let's look at our NIC, both of the NICs. So NIC 2, I know that IP address is giving us some trouble. So if you look at it here, I don't have any IP address defined. What is going on? I thought we did that. It looks like this one looks like primary. So what we should have done, we should have clicked on this one and we should have associated a public IP address over here, but that's perfectly fine. So what you need to do, we will go in there. All right, we'll go to the IP configuration and I'm actually going to get rid of this. Okay, so if I get rid of this, well, I cannot get rid of this because it's a primary IP. So let's click on this one. Can I change the primary IP? I don't see, I have never done that. So let's go back, and here in this I'm going to disassociate this public IP. Okay, so let's go back to my NIC once this is done, and I'm going to associate a public IP to the primary IP configuration. Okay, so this time let's create and do a static create and associate all. Looks good. Save. So this one is actually hopefully going to solve our other problems. So let's look at that. So we have already solved one problem, right? We installed the web server and it was not accessible. Now it's accessible over port 80, and if I do HTTPS, look at that, this is also available. So we have solved the problem that it was not connecting to the web server. Now we can connect it. The other thing that we are going to solve is the public IP address problem. So let's see if that's done. It's the saving the interface card. So you get my point, right? You do the troubleshooting, you assign the IP. So while this is going on, I can show you one other important thing for virtual machine. So let's go back to the virtual machine, and a common thing that you should know about virtual machines is a diagnostic setting and what are the things that you can collect. So to collect your setting and stuff, you need a storage account. Okay, so I'm going to choose one of the storage account over here. You can create a new one if you like. I'll enable the guest level monitoring. Once this monitoring is enabled, you have performance counters, logs, crash dumps, sinks and agents. All these icons or all these buttons will be available to you, and you can configure whatever you like. So while this is going on, let's see if no, it's still taking a long time. All right, I don't want to make this video super long. So pretty much what I have shown you in this video is how to deploy a multi-NIC virtual machine, how to play with the network interface card, how to configure 2 public IPs for the machine, how to assign the interfaces to one single network security group and apply the same rules if you like to both interface cards. We have also installed a web server and we made sure the server can be connected from the internet. We went to the IP address and we have proven that the site is available. So I would like to end this video right here. Hope you enjoyed the video. Play some time with deployment and make sure you understand how to read the templates, understand the parameter file. And good luck learning Azure. If you're preparing for a certification exam, good luck as well. If you like it, give me a like, subscribe, and share the video, and enjoy the world of the cloud. Good luck.